us why you're taking this one.
All right, let me.
Well, I can tell you Joey's first mistake. Starting Matt Ryan.
Are you a Falcons fan?
I love Matt Ryan, dude. I'm telling you, he doesn't fit with Kyle Shanahan, dude.
So,
and I'm not one of those dudes that wants Matt Ryan gone. I want Kyle gone.
Yeah, I'd feel the same in your shoes.
His X factors are definitely his running backs. Lacey against Jacksonville and Crowell versus Philly, and Philly doesn't have that good of a defense, so he could actually put some production out at his running back positions. Cooks at Oakland, that should be a good matchup. Decker, he always just catches a touchdown. I don't understand it.
I think Joey's going to change his starting lineup, though. Like, I don't think he's going to start Green Beckham. I would easily start Torrey Smith over him. I mean, you could argue that you might start Darren Sproles, too. So, and then you can make another argument. You might start Blake Bortles versus Green Bay. So,
yeah, because it's going to be a shootout.
What he has locked in now.
But, I mean, right now he's projected 173, though. I mean, that's one of the higher predictions or point totals we've seen thus far.
Yeah, that's true. But the points, like you've seen how they've been projected, people. I mean, we can't really go. That's
very true.
I see me winning, obviously, but without giving, I'll let you guys guess on who I'm going to start. But I see, even though he's got some wild card production in his running backs, I feel like my running backs, no matter who I play, I feel like
AP is going to feast on Tennessee.
I could start Spencer Ware over AP.
Nah.
You're an idiot. You're not going to do that.
But no, seriously, I feel like I still have an edge on running backs. Receivers, I feel like top to bottom, I have an edge, even though he's got guys that are solid. I feel like at tight end, I have an edge. And I feel like on defense, I have an edge. So, yeah, I feel like I should win. But if my guys don't perform and all of his guys who are solid perform, it could be a lot closer than what the experts would predict. So
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, I made a bold prediction. I'm saying Joe's going to win this week. In order for that to happen, I mean, your team's going to have a not so average week. But I think Joey's team, if everything lines up and yours doesn't line up all the way, he might be able to squeak the win out. That's why I'm going with Joey.
I don't know how anybody can say they feel great about starting Eric Decker. I mean,
Sean loves Eric Decker.
Well, yeah, he's one of the better fantasy receivers last year. Like, not top 5, but he was in that like top 12.
He was consistent.
I saw something earlier in standard leagues. He was a top 10 guy last year.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's a touchdown machine.
But that's the difference in our league. Touchdowns don't really count as much as they do in a standard league.
Nice. Sorry.
But yeah, no, I agree. I don't really see Decker as good. I guess he's the number 2, I guess, as far as fantasy goes. But for me, I have James winning very easily. This feels like a blowout to me.
For sure.
Yeah. I kind of have to go with Barlow. I mean, Spencer Ware, AP, obviously going to start Odell.
David Johnson, another huge running back.
He'll probably be in the flex. I don't know if he'll start him against his own defense. Jeffrey Allen. I mean,
doesn't start David Johnson.
Yeah, this is number 1 overall.
You guys break down what you think my offensive lineup's going to be.
AP, Johnson.
Easy.
Yeah, I think it is too. I think it speaks for itself pretty well.
AP, David Johnson. Your flex is either going to be another wide receiver or another running back in Ware.
Who?
It's probably going to be Ware if you put a running back in the flex.
Absolutely.
I mean, your wide receivers are pretty straightforward. Odell, Sammy Watkins, Jeffrey. I mean, your tight ends, Jordan Reed. I mean, your team.
Jason Witten. I feel very strongly that Jason Witten has not only been Tony Romo's security blanket these last few years, but maybe also James's.
Well, the thing about James, though, is James pretty much knows he's going to win this week, so he's going to start a player that plays on Monday night just so he has something to do while watching the Monday night football game. So he's going to start Jordan Reed.
Jason Witten had 77 receptions here, which is like the third or fourth most out of all the tight ends in fantasy football, and no one talked about that. He is the white, ageless wonder, Tony Gonzalez.
Yep.
Is what I call him. He's consistent. And Jordan Reed, while he flashed last year, he's injury prone, and I feel like I actually got Jason Witten in free agency, dropped him. So I was more than happy to grab him, and yeah, I'm with Josh. I agree with you. Jason Witten is probably a Hall of Famer one day, and he's one of the most consistent tight ends, where there's not a lot of consistency in tight ends outside of the big 4 or 5.
Yep.
So.
All right.
So we've got me. Obviously, I'm saying I'm going to win, but we've got Nelson and Josh saying it's going to be a blowout. Riggs, you're saying it's going to be tight, and Joey pulls out the upset.
Yes, that's what I'm predicting.
All right.
All right, moving on to the last matchup for week 1. We have Mr. Riggs, the Asian Persuasion, taking on last year's runner-up in CeeLo Certified Sack Killers. Why are you taking this one this week, Mr. Persuasion?
I'm pretty nervous for week 1 just because I really don't know who exactly I'm going to start yet in some positions. I think it's going to be close between me and Christian, but obviously I'm going to give myself the win just because it's me. But I do like my defense a whole lot this year, and I do think it'll be an X factor in a lot of my games this year.
So when did you actually start drafting defense this year? Do you remember what round?
I don't remember specifically, but I didn't rush to start doing defense. I was usually right at the second or third person if you take away from like the craziness where people took stuff super early.
Mm-hmm.
I was usually around the first of the pack to start getting the defensive players, but I usually just grabbed all the people I really like over the last couple of years that have been consistent, and then they all lined up pretty well during the draft, and I was able to get a lot of top players at their position.
Yeah, definitely. Looking at your defense now, I do like it a lot too. Kiko Alonso's damn good linebacker. Patrick Peterson, Tyrann Mathieu, Calais Campbell. Even though the down lineman position doesn't get much points, you still, even there, you have good players. What do you think, Mr. Nelson? Who do you think's going to take this week?
I'm actually going to have to take Christian. And I'm going to say this, like Russell Wilson, Derek Carr, to the casual fan, you automatically, oh yeah, let's give it to Russell. Derek Carr's solid as a rock. And he's got an easy matchup. I mean, not talking shit, Barlow, but New Orleans hasn't had it. Y'all are in the same boat as Atlanta. Our defense hasn't been great in years. Yeah. I don't like Danny Woodhead against the Chiefs. Duke Johnson, yuck. Macklin's like, I like Macklin, but I don't know how he's going to actually do against Alex Smith. It just kind of spooks me when it comes to fantasy.
Him not having Jamal Charles is really hurting Asian kid this week.
Yeah, I agree. If he had Jamal, I would, and the fact that Tom Brady's not there, so we don't know how Edelman's going to do. Brandon Marshall's going to be fine. But I'm not crazy about Christian's receivers either. Your flex, Deshaun Jackson, I feel the same way you do about DeMarco Murray in regards to him. It'll be a close game.
Yeah,
I'm not really crazy about him having Blunt as his flex either. He does have Michael Floyd on the bench. I would, yeah. If I was him, I would go ahead and.
I think his logic with Blunt is, with Garoppolo starting, we're gonna ball a lot. Run the ball, play good defense. not ask Garoppolo to throw it 40 times. So I kind of do see his logic there. But this is actually a pretty intriguing match.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
Man.
The overall point totals on projections, and again, you have to take those with a grain of salt, but it's only a 20-point difference.
I like Latavius Murray and Mark Ingram's matchups.
I'm just not on the Mark Ingram train. He's been in the league 4 years now. He's never had over 1,000 yards rushing.
I agree, but yeah, I think he'll have a better game than Danny Woodhead.
Yeah. At the Chiefs, that's a tough matchup.
Yeah. I think Jordy's got you edged on Brandon Marshall. It'll be close. It'll be an interesting game. I'm gonna Deshaun Jackson. I hope he balls for you, dude. Good luck getting him. Like, he may play a snap, and then they'll probably be carting him off. And they'll list him as probable all season.
Who you got coming away with it?
I mean, it's going to be real close, but I want to give the edge for Christian.
Okay.
I mean, if Tom Brady was in play and Jamal Charles, I would give it to Matt, but Julian Edelman, I don't see him having a big game against Arizona with Garoppolo as a starter. I could be wrong, but
No, I definitely agree with that.
If Tom Brady was there, I would most definitely give the nod to Matt. But I mean, Russell Wilson should have a nice game, but Derek Carr will too. So I mean, just looking at what you got starting right now, I'm gonna have to roll with Christian.
James?
I guess I got to go with Christian. Since Asian kid picked me to get upset, we'll pick Christian to upset the Asian persuasion.
Well, I really agree with pretty much everything Nelson said. I don't like Woodhead against anybody, honestly. Russell Wilson.
Yeah, but in a standard league, he has a little upside.
Right, but in here, is not so much.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. The only thing that I see potentially swaying it the other way is I don't know if Ingram's gonna be as good as he was last year. Just because CJ Spiller's actually playing better this year, so I think he's going to be taking a lot of those third downs, whereas they actually used Ingram in third down situations last year, so that takes away a lot of the receptions.
I think the X factor too is going to be Deshaun. Deshaun comes out and balls. That's
right. He's another player in the same mold, kind of like Mike Wallace, where he's just downfield and he's going to catch, either a fucking 90-yard touchdown or he's going to catch, a 2-yard.
I wouldn't go as far as to put him there with Mike Wallace, but he's definitely littered with injuries, man. Like, his career's. I rostered him all year last year to just, like, I rode him to hell. Dead last. Thank you, Deshaun. Bag. Yeah.
This is a contract year for Deshaun.
Yeah, and if he stays healthy, he's gonna have a good year. And I love Brandon Marshall, man. Like, I've got a man crush on Brandon Marshall. Like, he's a beast. Like, even despite his age, I feel like he's one of the top 5 receivers in the league. Personal opinion, but I don't trust his quarterback too much, even though he had a great year last year.
Well,
So what we got all of us on Christian except for.
Yep, 3-1 Christian. However, this one's gonna be close, I think, too.
Yeah, it'll be real close. But
what about you, Rick? You think you're gonna pull it out close, or you gonna just wipe the floor with Lopez?
I think it's gonna be close. I just a lot of my players really. I have a couple of people on my bench that, depending on how week 1 goes, they'll end up being the starter week 2 in their running back committees, and Jamal Charles isn't starting this week. I think it's just gonna be very close.
I've got Spencer Ware. I'm just saying. Make a deal with the Emperor. Everybody win.
I mean, I'm kind of scratching my head about Victor Cruz being on your bench. Um,
He's just he's not tested yet. He's been like 2.5 years since he's played, so you give him a week and then we'll see.
That's how I am too. I have to actually make people prove themselves before I start them.
Right.
So I'll miss first.
I do like the fact that you got Christine Michael slid in there. Christine Michael, I believe he's going to make a case in Seattle. I do like your defense.
Over your border
Yeah.
walls.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's something going on, man. I've read a lot of articles about it. I mean, it could be all smoke and mirrors, man, but everything I've read, that they're praising this kid pretty high.
Yeah, I heard a lot throughout the like training camp and preseason, not specifically about any one player replacing Rawls, but that they were looking for a player to maybe come up. I actually drafted the rookie they signed this year for that, but he turned out to be a bust so far. So no, I'm with you with that one. I don't think Rawls is going to be the guy there throughout the full season.
You know what's bad is I really can't say why, other than the fact that there's obviously something behind closed doors. Cause
Right.
He's got the talent.
Asian King, you're our residential Seahawks fan. What's the word?
Yesterday Pete Carroll said that they're gonna put inch Rawls back in slowly. He's probably not gonna be the week 1 starter, but that's subject to change because Pete Carroll's kind of a trickster, so you really never know. It's probably gonna be until he starts doing well. I mean, it's probably gonna either be a committee or Michael at the starter. But that's.
I really think they're gonna go with the committee approach because I've read that they're gonna put him in on 3rd down.
I don't really trust Pete Carroll until it happens, just because he's a little trickster. So we'll see. That's why I said a lot of my bench you really don't know until after week 1. I mean, I have Terrence West, who might be the #1 running back in Baltimore now, but you don't know until after week 1, and the same with Michael. So.
Right.
Yeah, week 1's definitely the hardest to predict.
Week 1's definitely the toughest week in fantasy football, in my opinion, just because you don't really know.
There's no base.
Yep.
There's nothing to base anything. Victor Cruz, I think Sterling Shepard being in New York, I just.
Yeah.
Victor Cruz was always a slot receiver. That's where he shined. So the idea is to have Odell on one side, Shepard, the young rookie's potential stud on the other side of the field, and then the slot, Victor Cruz, right in the middle in the slot. That's why everyone's buying into the Giants offense. That's
a lot of balls to spread around though, for fantasy.
Sounds good in theory.
Well, they're not going to be running the ball. They have Rashad Jennings. I mean, they can change Marine.
They have a bad defense, which means they're probably going to be down. I'm high on Eli this year, so while it is a lot of balls to go around, Odell's going to get his, and then it's going to be a fight between Victor and week in and week out who gets the who hits the other bonus.
Yep.
Yeah, it'll be a close game, no doubt. But like I said, to a casual fan, Derek Carr and Latavius Murray don't sound like much. Latavius Murray's old faithful, man. He's not going to get you a lot of bonuses, but he's always in contention to hit one. So
that's exactly who Mark Ingram was last year.
Yeah, probably who they'll be this year. So
yep.
I mean, while they're not, I still like them better than Duke Johnson and Danny Woodhead.
Yeah.
Before we go, I know the bet between me and you was who finishes further between the Patriots and Seahawks. What was the bet between you and Chris again?
The Falcons make the playoffs.
Okay. And that's for how much?
10.
Both bets are for 10. Okay.
Yep. Yeah. All right. Well, before we wrap it up, every time I have someone new on the show, I always ask, your prediction for who's gonna be our champion this year. And obviously, everybody wants to say themselves. So, if not you, then